So does this sound familiar? You work really hard, countless hours, whether it's getting into a relationship, working hard on a project, or getting a job that you really wanted. But then you're confronted with another problem. The person that you're dating wasn't exactly who you thought they were. The job that you decided to get ended up not being as great as you assumed it was going to be. You may even be really happy that you get a certain grade in your class, but it lasts 5 minutes until you're sad again and you have to work on your next project or your next homework assignment or have to study for the next test. And so we start to wonder, what could we be doing better? What could we be doing more? What are the types of people that could make us enjoy life easier? The idea that the grass is greener on the other side. But the truth is that the grass is always going to be the grass. It doesn't get greener, it doesn't get less green. Whatever problem that you have, you're going to end up dealing with that problem. If you quit and end up doing something else or being with someone else, you're going to have a different set of problems. So there's always going to be a problem. We have to choose the problems that we're willing to fight for. A good example would be my family. My family gives me a headache. They can be a problem sometimes, but it doesn't mean that I don't love them, and it definitely doesn't mean that I'm going to go and find a different family. Friends are another good example. Sometimes they can drive you crazy, but they are your friends. And so if you love them, if you love the people, if you love your job, whatever you decide to love, if you believe in those things, if you believe in being with them, then you should just stick with that problem and try to figure out a solution or a way to make things better instead of trying to run and figure things out somewhere else. The truth is that we're always going to find something to fight about. We're always going to find an issue with life. And so it's easier to just figure out what would make us happy, figure out the people that are going to make us happy, figure out the job that's going to make us happy, and to go for those things. So how do you know that something is worth fighting for? Do you stay in the job that you're currently at? Do you stay in the relationship that you're currently at? What exactly is the metric for understanding if it's time to go or if it's time to stay and keep on fighting? And I know that this is going to sound super generic, and I'll try to dig into a little bit more, but you just have to trust your gut. The truth is that if you want to invest your time and energy into something, then it's not a waste of time. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter if you succeed or if you fail, or if later down the road you regret it or you think that it was the wrong choice, it wasn't. In the moment, you decided to follow your gut, you decided to follow your heart, and it led you down the path towards being a better person. And that's true for all life events. Whether they're super traumatic or they're really happy moments in your life, they all lead you towards being a better person or being the person that you're striving to be. For example, if you really want a good career and you end up getting into a career that's really bad, or you have a bad manager, the environment is toxic, yeah, you can leave, but you took the time and you took the chance to go into that job to figure out what was bad about it, what was good about it, and you left that job, whether it was for a better opportunity or because you just wanted to quit, knowing what you want more than ever. You know if you want a better work-life balance, you know if you're looking for a better manager or if you're looking for better coworkers. And so this is applicable to other topics in life. If you want to be a better boyfriend or a better girlfriend or a better significant other, then whether you like it or not, you need to be in a relationship. You need to be a part of one relationship to figure out what you do well and what you don't do well. And at some point, you understand what you do really well and you try to work on the things that you don't do well. There were some parts of me in my past relationship and also in my current relationship where I don't communicate as best as I can. I have some points of emotional maturity, but I could always work towards being better. And I do want to strive towards those things. I want to strive towards being a better son or a better boyfriend or being a better coworker. And I know I'm not perfect, but it doesn't mean that I can't improve. And so in the same sense, you also can improve. You can always be better. Does it mean that you're not good the way that you are now? No. It just means that there's a better life waiting for you. And the faster that you figure yourself out, the faster that you improve yourself, the faster that you can get the life that you deserve. So follow your heart, follow your gut, be okay with the decisions that you make, and eventually you'll have a better life. Now, I get following your heart, I get following your gut, but sometimes your heart is also telling you to quit. So when is it exactly time to quit instead of staying in certain situations? When do you quit that job? When do you quit that relationship? When are situations getting so bad that it's actually hurting you than helping you improve? Well, the answer is if it fucks with your mental health. If you stop eating correctly, if you stop doing the things that you love, if you stop hanging out with the people that you want to hang out with, then get the fuck out. When you start to not look like yourself anymore, that is the benchmark for when you should just leave. There's a difference between wanting to improve yourself and still seeing glimpses of who you were in the past and seeing that you're improving towards a better version of you. But if you look in a mirror and you realize that you're nothing like yourself, you can't even see a glimpse of who you were before, then that just means that the person changing you or the environment that's changing you isn't changing you for the better. It's turning you into a person that you don't even recognize anymore. If you're not laughing like you used to, if you're not enjoying life like you used to, you're not doing the things that make you passionate, you're not even doing your hobbies anymore. To be honest, you're just not being your best self. And that is not your fault. It is not your fault for making decisions or somehow ending up in an environment that causes you to be like this. But even though we're not responsible for being put in situations, we are responsible for deciding every single day if we want to stay in that environment. So it's important to make that choice. And it's important to reflect on ourselves, to look deep inside and to decide, do we want to stay in this relationship? Do we want to stay in this job? And if you don't, then it's time to figure out the steps that you need in order to get out of it. And so what's a step-by-step process? Is there a guide to figuring out if it's time to quit a relationship or time to quit a job? Well, the first part is doing what I said, to follow your gut or your heart. If your heart is screaming for you to leave certain things, then that's obviously the first step. But even if you don't do anything, your brain and your body, your heart, everything will tell you, everything in your soul will tell you that it's time to leave. The truth is that after sticking with a problem for a really long time, you start to understand if you really want to stay in that issue, if you really want to stay in that environment, or if you want to leave. Your brain will end up being fatigued and being really tired with certain things. You'll notice it in bad relationships. You'll often tell yourself, I'm sick of arguing with these things. I'm sick of talking about this. You start to be sick with the situation. And it's different from when you're arguing with someone and you still understand in yourself that there's time to figure things out, that there's a chance that things work out, that you're willing to put in the time and effort to make sure that this problem is resolved. And either way, it means that you'll tackle your next problem. And that leads me to my next point. Problems are generally emotionally taxing, they're physically taxing. And so while you're dealing with your problems or after you've dealt with your problems, you want to do certain things to make sure that you're in the right state to tackle your next problem. And there's always going to be a next problem. So here's a list of things that you should do before you go on to your next problem, your next relationship, your next job. And the reason why these things are important is because you don't want to burn out in between. You don't want to, again, put yourself in a different situation where you feel exactly the same. You feel like you're losing yourself again. You feel like you're in a crappy job. You feel like you're not being your best self. So the first thing, I want you to cherish the victories. I want you to reward yourself for dealing with whatever the problem was. Whether it was a relationship, whether it was a job, be proud of yourself for sticking it out or at least going through that time in your life and getting through it. It is a big thing. A lot of people in the world don't stick around with the problem, but you did. So I want you to just be proud of yourself. The second thing, after being proud of yourself, I want you to take a breather. You just have to chill out. Take an hour to reset. It's not going to kill you. Just give yourself a little bit of an isolated moment from whatever you were dealing with. Go on a snack break, take a shower, take a nap, do whatever makes you feel better. Do whatever makes you feel more relaxed. Do whatever allows you to just reset. And again, the idea behind it is to avoid burnout. Burnout is a mental state where you feel overwhelmed and you just can't handle the pressure anymore. If you ever heard of people being in the zone in athletics, then it's kind of like the opposite state. In general, you end up feeling like you can't be 100% yourself. You can't be 100% productive. And so we want to avoid this state overall because we don't want to spend our time so freely. Spending time not being at our 100% self is a waste of time. It means that we're not using time, the only asset that we have that we can't get more of, without a disregard for what we could be doing better. And if you're not feeling 100%, this doesn't mean that you're wasting your time completely. It just means that you're not using time as fully as you can. And so it's okay to feel grief. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be in a negative state, but it's important to not stay in that negative state. It's important to not let it stick, to shrug it off, to shake it off, and to keep on going and to keep getting better. So you want to avoid the state as much as you can, and it's super easy to get out of this state, to not deal with it, and it's to take a break. A lot easier said than done, but I believe in you. Maybe do one of the things that I mentioned before, but honestly, just do anything to step away from an environment. And the third and last thing, after you have celebrated your victories, after you have taken a break, is to make a game plan. I want you to organize what you have to do to reach the next step or to improve yourself. Improving yourself seems like a very generic phrase, but when you put things on paper, when you start writing things down that you think can improve you, chances are they will improve you, and second of all, it'll probably stick. The ideas don't need to be super specific, they don't need to be right or wrong, but the idea is that by writing these things down, it gives you a direction to go in. And again, walking in any direction is a better direction than standing and staying still. Obviously, we want to walk in the right direction, so try your best. We don't want to walk in the opposite direction, but I just want you to focus on moving constantly. Because the thing is that if you're constantly moving, even if you're moving backwards, you're able to keep on moving and you're able to continue moving down your timeline. You're not standing still in any specific point in time, which a lot of people do. A lot of people end up being traumatized or holding a lot of hate in their heart, and it hurts them for a very long time. They sit still, they stand still, and therapists will often tell people about some childhood trauma that they couldn't let go of until they figured it out with their therapist. There are certain life events that just stick with us and are hard to let go of, and the problem with not letting go is that it doesn't allow us to have room for a lot of things in life that could make our life better. And there's nothing wrong with holding on to it. You can hold on to it for as long as you want, but at least hold on to it while walking. If you walk long enough, eventually you'll either put that thing down, whatever grudge you have, or you'll eventually forget that it's there and you'll accidentally drop it along the way. But if you stay still, you will just remember the thing that's in your hand. You won't forget it. You won't even think about putting it down sometimes. And so moving in any direction is moving forward. You may not be ready for all the different assignments that you're going to have in school, but if you tell yourself, I know school is going to be hard, you may one day get 6 assignments instead of 5, and you won't be as surprised or overwhelmed because you prepared yourself for that. I always wanted to help my family and wanted to make more money than I do with my normal 9 to 5. And so I started content creating. Do I know if content creation is for me? No, not really. But I know that it improves me to be a better person. I know that it helps me publicly speak. I know that it helps me not care about being judged on the internet, which are super important in today's society. And so I know the general steps. I know that I have to work towards something on my off time after my 9 to 5 in order to help my family better. I don't know if content creation is that or if it's going to be something else, but by doing this, I'm able to take the initiative to do something to improve my life, and it's going to lead me towards something that's going to eventually help me make more money. Honestly, I hope that this is it. I hope that I'm able to make content and help people feel better and able to make money off of it so that I could take care of myself and continue doing this. So far, this is what's worked for me. Whether it's content creation, whether it's relationships, whether it's getting a better job, these are things that I learned from my experiences, and these are things that I wanted to share with you because I want you to be able to have a better life. These things work for me, so I'm hoping that they will work for you too. By aiming for goals this way, I was able to achieve a lot of the goals that I wanted, whether I wanted to or not. I always wanted to work at my dream job, and I didn't know if I was ever going to do it. I didn't know what the steps were, but I knew that if I just aimed in the general direction, eventually I was going to get there, and I did. But along the way, I fell into a lot of different pitfalls. I procrastinated. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't have the confidence to try a lot of things that I'm telling you now that you can go for, that you can do. And so watch the whole video, believe in yourself, and I know you're gonna get there one day. Sometimes people give up too early or they rush too hard, and it leads them to a lot of failures in their life. So take your time, be consistent, and one day you'll get there. If you like this video and you want to support me, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, keep improving, stay productive, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.